And welcome everybody back to the Pagan Show, where we're going to talk about the community and everything else. Tonight, I promise, what's the plan? So feel free to put any questions you have into the chat room, um, and I will answer them afterward. But what is the plan? Well, first of all, understand I'm talking about myself, my actions, my what I'm hoping to do, versus the we that I work with. I have a great we group that we together. They're family, they're friends, and they have done so. And I've talked to a lot of them recently. But this is it. I am a big believer in moonshots, and I have made for this year's declaration um, the idea I'm going to do 1,000 interviews and I'm going to do 365 shows around social broadcasting. You've heard me do it. This is day 8. I've done 8 interviews that are down. Thank you for all of you giving me interview. And I've brought in some great material. Shane Nelson with his story of his thesis and how that was done. John Beckett. We've heard from Mary Hawk. We've heard from Don Lewis and Jason and Marty Milanex, who's a rising star. So we've begun this conversation already. And so that's my main goal. But the other goal that I had made, and let me go ahead and go right into it, is the more important one, and I mean it, is the Corellian Campus Project in Danville. Now, I actually mentioned it a year ago, and we talked about it and about all the things. Remember all those questions that I were asking? Well, then that was part of it. And now we are now, and I spent the most of the year in Danville, Illinois last year, beginning to understand and testing some of our hypotheses. Gaia Thrift was there, and we decided that yes, we need to build a campus there. Was originally an idea of an elder home, and all we need, our minimum viable product, to open May 4th, 2029, is 5 spaces. Space for a library, and we're already beginning to build that, but that's space for a library. The second thing that we're going to need is our stage because we're going to be media and media oriented. Our temple, so that we have a temple there to practice. Housing, yep, some housing, and so there's that space, and of course classrooms, so that we can have this campus, and we can build it. That is not a question. So this is our moonshot. This is where it is. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So this is our goal. This is a big goal to be in Danville, Illinois, because that's the hometown of the Corellians. It's and so the people who are backing this most of the Corellians, where we already have a small museum materials in the locker. We have library in the locker. We have a lot of materials ready. But most importantly, what we have to do now, because this is what is called a moonshot. A moonshot is things that are difficult. You don't necessarily see a way to do them. You don't see the way to complete it. But it is about having a massively transformative purpose. This is one of those things that is taught. Uh, if you don't have, and this is in coaching such as Dan Sullivan, Peter Diamandis, around there, is that if you don't have a massively transformative purpose, means and it means something that you're passionate about, something that will mean something that solves a problem, and something that will change lives in the future. It will have changed lives, has an impact. For me, it was what my original massive transformative purpose and continues to be is I want everybody to learn about magic. I wanted to learn everybody. Once I became enthralled with it, when I became a Corellian priest and I was to be a teacher, I wanted everybody to know about it. I believe this material is good for everybody. And that started me out. And that was 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. That massive transformative purpose of teaching, and particularly Corellianism, but I also taught other things as well. And we brought more of it into it. And it led us to having temples. We actually had building. We had a physical temple in Chicago for a while, and then we moved on to being online. We first, telepathic media, and all the group lists that we formed, and eventually Witch School, which is now celebrating its 25th year. And that witch school moment is extremely important because it transformed how the community could work. So, I massively desire to transform our education system along with Reverend Don Lewis and Lisa Tuitt, we were able to create a system, a process that freed up mentors, gave them more time over the internet and in person to be able to teach. And that was transformational. And we took away the bookkeeping, the keeping of the grades. Yeah, we use a lot of automatic tests, and we did a lot of that sort of energy. And what we were able to do with the automation was then be able to allow them to have more control over their groups. And what did they do? They went and invented online rituals. They found ways to communicate. And that's the important thing. They found ways to communicate closer and closer on a global level. And this was inspired by the parliament. This idea of this goal was inspired by the Parliament of 1999 in South Africa, which we have now a great component. So, which school allowed us to teach not only locally, but it's allowed us let us teach internationally, globally, and that it did. It extended out there, and it had one major aspect of it. It got caught up in this thing of being able to go to the Parliament of World Religion. So the Correllian tradition and the Parliament of World Religions was my massive purpose. And when we got on the stage, I went to every parliament. When we got on that stage, that main stage from the parade, where most of the groups had sat down, we got to get on that main stage and be seen as a moral equivalent. We were morally equivalent. People don't like that word, but it was important. Morally equivalent. We saw it was accepted as equals on a global stage with global members across the world. Now, one of the things about this is that once that was completed and then it was handed off to the two people, it left me with less to do. I had to look at it. And I really thought I was going to go off and do something else. Um, but then I realized that I wanted to do more. So we decided we wanted to go back home to Danville. And Danville, Illinois, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it. We want to build a campus. In this campus, we want to do so. So Gaia Thrift is our first fundraising effort. We've got thousands of dollars worth of clothing because it is a sustainable project, because it is in sustainability. It serves us well to be in these businesses that will last a long time. What business do we need to generate revenue and impact and resources? It must last a long time. The need to recycle, reuse, and to do this, our ethos. And so Gaia Thrift offers that. And we also offer the alternative of being able to get some money back out of goods for elders, for some of the people as we practice. That's right. Because the books that they have and the art and all of that, so is great. I will tell you where my pain is. I grew up in the Temple of Sacred Stones. I don't know where any of that stuff, including the art and pieces that we donated. Um, we don't know where it is. There's no Temple of Sacred Stones. We can name this of temple. That's mine personal. We can go to temple after temple, stage after stage, where we've had these beautiful, elaborate setups, and very, very few of them remain. And most of that material gets put out in the four things. So we have these historical, important items scattered out into the world. And so we need a library. We all love libraries, and people are building libraries across the board. So that's the first step. So Gaia Thrift offers us that first ground. We need so these properties, and so you need a revenue source, and we will do other things. But in order to continue our next part of the mission, I need to have people to be secure, to be happy, to be knowing what we're doing in a way that they can support us and we can support them. And that is broadcasting, broad based social media. And over the next year, I'm going to broadcast on a daily basis so that I can get back into practice, so that I can do this to reach out to people. And this is my moonshot. If we can build and secure our rights as media, we need to do it right now. The First Amendment is not only the freedom of religion, it's freedom of speech, it's freedom of assembly. And most importantly, it's together you take all of that and it's free thought. the right to free thought, free information, free access to it. I believe we have right to all the knowledge we can possibly possess. And that's one of the things that we can do. And the one way we can do it, we need to have our opinion set. So not only am I going to start with these interviews, I want to thank you. So we're doing a daily interview. The second thing I'm doing is I'm starting to do about books, pagan books. I've already done two. You can see the interviews for two of them coming up soon. And so we can continue to do those. One of the other major parts of this over the next year is that we've got to build our media. As you know, I'm an advocate of broad based materials. I want more of you out there to go ahead and talk, be able to talk. I've done more than 1,000 interviews already. We've got thousands and thousands of hours that we're going to bring into this library. But we need to keep talking to people. And we need to find a way to network our voices, to amplify our voices. This is where the moonshot comes in. So we can reach at least 1 million people. And really, to have a dramatic effect, we need a shared pool of about 10 million people, more or less, listening to one or more of our podcasts, one or more of our videos, one or more of our other types of content and teaching. We need to be able to reach out to 10 million people so that we can have an effective voice in larger scale so that we can protect ourselves. Now, do I think we should be building this voice to go out and fight the great fight? That's not my goal. And I will back you if that's yours. My goal is based on the idea of survival. So the campus and the idea of social broadcasting, which I'm a leader in the world on. I've talked more about this. This is a coined phrase, which means to broadcast across multiple types of networks and to do so socially. I mean, we can go on the air anytime. It's near telepathic. And so now here's what I need from you guys. So here at this point, here's what I want from you, all of you. I'm also talking with other media outlets, and we're getting pretty close to the idea of being able to credential a large number of people to be media people. In this day and age environment, we want to get IDs into people's hands and other types of materials so that they can do interviews, and we want to do local interviews. I'm already talking about Chicago. We're also talking about Nashville. Um, we're talking about Michigan. And there's more places. So if you want to be a local reporter, just email me. Yep. And that's edthepagan@gmail.com. And if you want to be a reporter, if you want to be a conversation, I have more hours in the day, and people have more hours in the day. If you're already doing video, give me a link. Write me at edthepagan and say, here's my video. That's right. Here's my YouTube channel. Because one of the things we have on our side, and I'm going to tell you, I've learned it really hard. And I saw it. A friend of mine, Neil Goodman, and we went to Las Vegas a couple of times for a particular purpose to go to the NAB, National Association of Broadcasters. And we watched this fast television emerge, free, free access, uh, free ed supported television. And right now, we can help each other. The problem is that we have a shared audience, but we need to have it networked in a way so that they can find each other. One of the biggest, hardest problems we're having is to not connect. So my show this year is going to be all about connecting, all about talking, all about bringing people together. And I want you to do the same. And I'm willing to give you help, cooperation, even become one of my guests, become one of my reporters. Go out and do interviews for me. I'm, 1,000 interviews don't all have to be done by me. You can be doing them. I'm looking for interns. I'm looking for the biggest volunteer force you've ever heard of. If you want to volunteer in the pagan community, I want to help you. Either to get you to a project so you can get help or so that you can get part of something. We need everybody's cooperative skills. All too often, we focus on the author class, the Llewellyn classes, the author level. and that they are important and that they're essential to our teaching. But we also need the other skills as well. If you're a media person, we need your help in the media. We need you to, if you edit, great. If you're an arts and crafts person, we need your help. I've got different ways that you can help with that sort of idea. And in order to continue to do so, one of the other ideas that we're going to have is that we're going to be able to support your businesses. So we own witchstarter.com, and that is a idea. So we own the name, and we participated because every October, Kickstarter has a program called Witch Starter for metaphysical products to make money. Well, I've learned so much over the years, and I'm kind of a little bit of an expert in Kickstarter, Indiegogo, WeFund, and the sort of fundraising. So I am not just standing here saying we should be building the company and the media. I'm going to be working on fundraising. And the fundraising isn't just my fundraising. That's not enough. We need to have you fundraising for your project so that we can support our community in the ways that we need to. Period. So through these shows, through the social broadcasting, we can grab more attention. And as this goes out, it can be more than just simply, oh, they're watching my show. It can be, hi guys, here's an informational breakdown. Here, let's have a meeting. Let's have do this. Let's do that, and actually execute. The one of the things that I have the best track record is in execution. It doesn't matter if it's Psychic Chicago Radio, Psychic Chicago Magazine, telepathic radio. All of these were successful. You get to witch school, you get to the daily spell. Years lasted. Pagan Radio, 7 nights a week for over a decade. And mainly what happened then is everyone went out and started their own podcast. A lot of the podcasts that you see out today in the pagan world, their hosts had their starts on Pagan Radio. And that's one of the things I want to bring back, that powerful network which produced millions of listens for hundreds of people getting interviewed, 1,000, and also for dozens and dozens of hosts. And that was done on very little cash. And that was mostly provided from witch school funds. Witch school funds, based on small subscription fees, developed into the Pagan Tonight Radio. Magic TV, same thing. We actually spent a lot of money before we got on YouTube. We were one of the first people on YouTube because we were finding it. And we actually went on the air November 11th, 2025, and we would join YouTube February 6th, 2006. Wow. It always kind of blows me away sometimes with these numbers. And so we've been there, and that has been successful. Now we've archived thousands of pieces. In order for me to continue to create our legacy, I think this moonshot, it's a moonshot in the sense of it's got to be impactful, it's got to be important, it's got to be useful, is to develop a campus. Now, let's be honest, universities are amazing. They're the longest lasting structures in our society, in civilization. Universities outlast governments, they outlast all manner of structures and organizations. Not everyone, not all the time. And yes, we lose a lot of everything. But one of the largest institutions in the world today is in universities. Oxford, for example, been around longer than most of the things you had back in the Thousand Years East. And when we go into archaeological ruins and find things, what do we find? Archives, and what are useful? Archives of scrolls, books, clay tablets, paintings on the wall, right? That's it, isn't it? And all of these represent learning centers in universities. I know it disappoints a lot of people that I didn't go off and run off to join the national protest movements that I was invited to attend um, in Chicago, in Boston, in DC. And I know people were disappointed in that because they thought I'm a warrior, an activist. But the truth is, we got great people doing that. We have Phyllis Crott, lawyer, prestigious, great background, knows how to talk that language. We have Patrick McCollum, whose movie just come out, who's been working in the peace deal, good friend Jane Goodall. And he just said, Man Who Saves the World. There's a movie, a major movie about him. And he's moving into it. We have Selena Fox and Lady Liberty League, and who also did this type of project 35 years ago for Circle Sanctuary. So this is not a pie in the sky bit. This is something that they were able to accomplish and that they own today, that they run as a nature sanctuary and that will outlast them. So we do have these people moving on the nationals. But for me, I'm best known for as a pioneer in media. And so now I want you, you, right, to help me. I want you to do so. And how can you help me? Well, you can be an amplifier. What that means is somebody who shares and comments on the various pages. Two, be a gatherer. I need people to gather me information. I need more information about what's happening on the local levels. Three, become a local broadcaster, become a local person. I will help you. Um, Four, encourage other people to do so and to do things locally. Let them know that there is help locally. Let's find out what you're doing locally and make that known. And five, understand that the only thing that's going to get us through this place is this sort of steadfast desire to survive, to live, and more important, to have a quality of life. I know things are scary right now, but we're still going to be here 5 years from now. We're going to be here in 4 years from now. How much can we accomplish in that? So, this is where my plan is, and make it very simple. I'm going to spend the next year working on social broadcasting and providing more and more information for more and more people. In that, we're going to use that to begin creating space for merchants, for selling items for people, including Gaia Thrift, Corellian Publishing that we've got, but also for all the small merchants. Yeah, if we're going to do well by small merchants, let's find out who they are. I want to interview them. I want you interviewing them. I want them talking. I would love people to do so. I would love to have a 24-hour channel, but the amount of people that are necessary for that, I don't have in my grid. I just don't do it. I just don't. I need you to volunteer. And why don't people do it? Because they don't think they're going to have an impact. Trust me, we've had tremendous impact. We can go for more. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to make an impact, now I'm going to go ahead and toot my horn this time. This is braggadocious, but I have trained, have either coached or trained most leadership in the pagan world. Yeah, that's right. I have coached, I have talked with, I have strategized with dozens of leaders across traditions. Not as I'm a boss, but because I know how to bring out best in people and get them going in their own direction. I create independent training that awakens leadership in others. And there are literally hundreds of leaders in our community, thousands across the world, who I was very grateful to know, and I was able to help them become the leadership that they are today, that we needed so desperately, and that they're independent. I don't have a big group of like, oh, ed bots. I don't. Um, what I do have is a lot of people who give me a great deal of respect, more than I deserve some days. They give me great talks, and they're willing to talk to me. That's the important thing. They're willing to talk to me. And I take that very seriously, and they will interview with me. So tell me what you want to know about. Tell me what you want to think. EdThePagan at gmail.com. Find me at EdThePagan the show. Find me at EdThePagan anywhere. We'll talk about that. So, in closing, and maybe this is a piece I'll clip out again, my massive transformative purpose of continuing to provide quality information, education to the pagan world, you learn anything, anywhere, anytime education, I'm going to continue. And it is going to continue in two forms. First, we're going to do social broadcasting all year. And we're going to learn ways to connect ourselves and to develop our tools within this sort of telepathic network, to include things like helping people develop their shops, uh, outlets. We're going to do radios. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about the community. We're going to talk about the things that are happening. You can talk about anything. We're going to talk about local. We're going to talk about anything we can to begin building trust with each other and information and knowledge. And this will also protect us because then we will be able to know things out there. But over the long run, I am planning to continue building on Gaia Thrift as one platform, Corellian Publishing, and we've got a few other things I'm working on in that aspect. And I want you to do the same in your area. And I want to teach people how to do this. Begin building the environmental systems, the closed environments that you need to begin building a larger project. And for us, it is to open a campus in May 4th, 2009, for the Corellian illustration in Danville, which is once every 5 years, under Pure Sanctuary, Mother Temple, and Reverend Jason High Corral is in charge of that. But we want to have it on our campus, a library, a temple, a stage, a classroom, and housing. Pretty simple. That is what I want to do. And we've got both all the time in the world and very little. So, again, if you want to be a part of this project, please feel free to jump in. You can let me know or just start pushing like buttons, pushing share buttons, and getting it out there. If there's somebody you want to see, you want to hear, let me know. And with that, thank you. Hello, Black Crystal. And thank you. And thank you for your continued support. I know you've answered thousands of questions for me. This is why. And I really do appreciate it. It's meant a lot to me. And tomorrow we have David Moore, we have Lisa Stewart and Anton Stewart coming up soon. Uh, Alexander Nemo, more to come.